At about 10:51 last night, one of our officers attempted a traffic stop on Montgomery near the intersection with Louisiana. The actual traffic stop happened in the Chevron parking lot where you saw the briefing was at this morning. As our officer contacted the driver of the vehicle, he immediately noticed several knives and what appears to be drug paraphernalia. Fortunately for us, the officer who made the traffic stop is CIT certified. We all understand what that means, and that would be important. That's going to be very important for what transpires for the next 3.5 plus hours. Because of his CIT certification, he was able to build a rapport and have decent communications with the driver of that vehicle. And unfortunately, after several hours of talking and negotiating with that subject, the male driver decided to ingest what we believe to be an illegal drug, then put his vehicle in reverse, crashing into one of our units, and then fled south on Louisiana Boulevard, where he attempted to turn east into the Smith's parking lot. We're still uncertain of the facts there, whether he crashed by himself or we had vehicle-to-vehicle contact with him to prevent him from getting into that parking lot. But where you saw the scene this morning is where this incident ended. As his movements were stopped, and then once it stopped there, the driver of the vehicle once again barricaded himself in the vehicle. We once again attempt to establish communication with him via negotiations with the CIT officer, and at this point, I believe a level higher than that, which is our CNT officers, which have a higher level of training, begin to communicate with the driver of the vehicle, hoping for a peaceful resolution to this incident. And again, after I believe another hour or so, let me back up a little bit. At that point, after he fled from the Chevron, our SWAT officers or our tactical officers were called based on the charges that we now had on the subject. They were able to deploy to assist our uniformed personnel. So our TAC officers arrived on scene at the Smith's parking lot scene and took over that scene from our uniformed personnel. Again, our CNT folks, TAC officers, tried to negotiate with the subject for his peaceful surrender. That doesn't happen the way we had wished it would have. And at some point, our tactical officers first utilized the flashbang and then secondly used a chemical munition to try to get him, again, to resolve this peacefully. He did eventually exit through the passenger door of his vehicle, but unfortunately he exited with the machete. The tactical officers first attempted to use less lethal, a beanbag round, on the subject. We're still investigating this. Whether that was successful or not, I would assume it wasn't, because a short time later, two of our officers fired their duty rifles, hitting the suspect, who is now deceased. Our personnel are okay, thank goodness, and as I mentioned, the suspect is deceased. Obviously, a very unfortunate sequence of events, but I would briefly like to commend our personnel for spending what appears to be 3+ hours out there in the freezing cold, attempting to communicate and negotiate with this suspect, like I said, to resolve this peacefully. Our officers, the officers that fired or shot, are obviously on administrative leave, which is normal. I will not be naming them this morning. You all understand our process. We name them after they've been interviewed, so we will not be naming them, nor will we be naming the suspect in this case today because it's pending next of kin notification. MATF was called out to investigate this. They're out there now investigating that, and obviously upon conclusion of that investigation, it will be turned over to the 2nd Judicial District Attorney's Office. And then the one thing I would like to share with the community is that I would ask that they be patient in that area of Louisiana and Montgomery while we continue to investigate that to get that road opened up. So we would ask for their patience. Traffic's going to be a little bit messed up for the next few hours.